Welcome to this video where we are going to dive into a juicy video topic today, talking about the identity purge, what it is, what it means, and why you don't really see a lot of people talking about it, because no one really wants to talk about the space between your new identity and your old identity, like that liminal space where nothing's really quite happening, or things are happening, but you feel really uncomfortable with your new identity. And so many people get scared. I myself was getting scared when that started happening to me, when I chose my new identity and my body was still on the frequency of the old identity. Because your nervous system gets comfortable too. Not even just the ego, not the subconscious mind, but your nervous system becomes comfortable with the identity that you choose. So when you have been the person that you have been being for a very long time, say you have had a very similar identity that's, changed a little bit here and there throughout from when you were born to the age you are now, right? You haven't done a lot of huge identity work. You just see yourself as the version of you who you are now, but you want to have a new identity. The moment you assume the new identity and you decide that you are going to be someone new, say you're someone who doesn't work out at all, right? And you want to assume the identity of someone who is healthy, who is fit, who goes to the gym on a daily basis every day, who is a gym person, right? A fitness guru, as if you will. And when you're in that liminal space between the old identity and the new identity, you can still feel psyched to have this new identity of, oh my gosh, I'm someone who goes to the gym all the time. This is so exciting. But your body feels really uncomfortable with it. And it kind of almost makes you feel sick sometimes. And sometimes it does make you sick. It can give you colds and stuff like that. I have actually heard stories about this happening to people before. And it happens because your body is not used to what is happening. It's like when you jump in the deep end of a cold pool and because you're completely throwing your body into a new identity, into a new state, and your cells literally listen to your subconscious mind and form around who you believe yourself to be. If you believe yourself as someone who is healthy and who rarely ever gets sick, you're going to be someone who is healthy and who rarely ever gets sick, because you decided, your subconscious mind accepted that, and that reflects in your body to your, on a cellular level, right? And so when you choose to be someone new, your cells are changing on a cellular level because you have decided a new identity. So when you're someone who all of a sudden you see yourself as someone who's a fitness person and you're going to the gym, your body's going to feel a little uncomfortable. It might feel a little uncomfortable. And this doesn't have to be a hard process by any means, because with law of assumption, the sky is not the limit. There is no limit. I almost said the sky is the limit, but there really is no limit at all. You can assume that this process is going to be easy for you. I'm just sharing this because I keep getting comments about it, first of all, and second of all, this process hit me like a truck when I was assuming new identities recently. And this is so fresh in my mind that I really want to talk about it before it happens again, or before it's not happening as much, because I'm assuming a new identity, right? And I feel like someone could really take value from this. So when this all started, for my personal experience on the purge and what it went through and what it felt like, I was assuming a new identity of this version of me who had my new job, a new dream job, right? I was stuck at my old 9-to-5, and it was hard to grow out of that environment. I would sit there day in and day out learning everything I could about manifestation for 3.5 years. And I would sit there visualizing and embodying the frequency of the version of me who was not working a 9-to-5, who had a job with a flexible schedule, working from home, content creator vibes. And so in the process of that transition, when I actually did manifest a job that fit exactly what I was looking for, it fit my exact criteria of remote, choose your hours, love that. I love that. And it was a little bit more work, and it was different because it wasn't my old job, right? Every time you get a new job, most of the time it's going to be different because it's not your old job. It's not the job that you're used to if you're working at a current position and you're applying for a new position. Pretty much almost every job out there is pretty different, right? Because it's a different environment, different people, different criteria, things like that, right? And so I got this new job, and all of a sudden my body was thrown into a state of dysregulation. And granted, it was a different environment, but I already had the identity for years prior that I was already someone who, I was building the identity of someone who worked from home or who was a full-time content creator, things like that. And so when it actually happened, even though I was seeing myself like this, I mean, I guess it did take a little bit to really build that identity. I would say for the last 3 months of my job, the last solid 3 months of my job, of my old job, that was when I really locked in and decided the new identity of this is exactly what I want, because I didn't know right when I first got my old job what I wanted. I just learned a lot about manifestation and it led me to this journey, right? And so towards the very end of my old job, those last 6, it started around 9 months before, because I got really sick like at the beginning of last year, and that was about 9 months ago now, 10 months ago, and I decided I wanted to change my life. That was what really started the upheaval of everything. And I ended up the last 3 months at my old job really locked in, really had the identity of I am a full-time content creator, or I have a remote job that pays well, right? Things like that. Like, it was crazy. When it actually happened, I was sitting at my desk and just, I don't even know what I was doing, probably listening to subliminals or something, looking out the window, embodying my new identity, whatever. And I got this call saying that this position that I applied to like wanted an interview, or wanted to interview me. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And then I ended up taking the job. I quit my 9 to 5 that I had been there for like 4 years, big chunk of time, right? For me, at least. Like, that was like the longest job I ever had. And I decided to walk into my new job, and I mean, it was remote and everything, so like figuratively. And it's crazy how ever since I left my old job and now have this new job with very flexible hours, much higher earning potential, and giving me the flexibility to really embody my content creator identity too, because I'm working similar hours that I would as a full-time content creator. It's just crazy how much changed in my body and in my mind. Like, all of a sudden I actually felt physically sick for like the first week. Like, I thought I was getting sick, and it's because your body, like, it takes a minute for your body to adjust too. So for those of you who are going through the purge of your old identity into your new identity, this is a very real feeling. You are not alone, and it doesn't have to be hard. And we'll get into that in a minute. But when I had this new job, like the first few days at my new job, it just like, I felt physically ill, and like I felt like that general malaise where like something is wrong. And being someone who has like high anxiety and things like that, or has dealt with high anxiety in the past, not anymore because that's not who I am, but I could feel like those old tendencies like creep up and like want to pop up and be like, hey, we're here. Like, you know, I don't know if you've ever watched Big Mouth. It's a great show on Netflix, and they have this thing called the anxiety mosquito, and like that's just kind of what I picture sometimes, like in the back of my head or whatever, like kind of creeping up, and I have to like swat them out of the way, because it's like that's not who we are anymore. But it just feels interesting. It's like you physically feel like something's wrong. It really feels like an ego death in a way, because you are completely changing who you are. You can feel the change, and it feels wrong. Like, your body feels wrong, but your identity, you know, it feels aligned. You know, a year from now, you're going to thank yourself for stepping into the new identity, for taking aligned action. It's incredible. It really is just that your body is not comfortable or recognizing the frequency of the new identity that you have decided and assumed and stepped into. So it doesn't mean anything is wrong. And this is what stops a lot of people with their manifestations, actually, because when you are on the path to your new identity, or you are assuming your new identity, and you are starting to take aligned action that is in the 3D reality, and it is different than what you would normally do, a lot of people get scared by that feeling and they back out because it feels uncomfortable. It feels scary. I mean, it literally can make your body feel sick, right? But it's not about stopping, and it's not about like pushing through to the max, right? But really taking the time to follow your intuition and feel, okay, making sure that this feels aligned, making sure that this resonates. And you'll know when it resonates, when it's still like, it's conflicting, because it's like your soul feels that it's right, but your body feels that it's wrong because it's uncomfortable and it's scared. It's like when you haven't worked out in a long time and you want to work out and you want to push yourself, but you're kind of scared too because you don't really know your limits and you don't want to like freaking pass out or something like that. That's kind of how it feels. but you know you're going to feel good afterwards, or before you get a tattoo. If you've ever gotten a tattoo or a piercing or anything like that, you're really scared for the process and your body is tensing up and it's like, no, we don't like this. But your mind knows that you're going to love it afterwards and you're not going to regret it. And sometimes, I mean, you do regret it, but that's, for the sake of this video, no, you're not going to regret it, because you're taking aligned action based on, after you've assumed the new identity, when action follows and you have new hits of inspiration, or all of a sudden a path forms, because that's what happens, right? Like when you align your energy to the version of you that you desire to be, or from your new identity, when you embody that energy, it puts you on the frequency fast track to aligned action. Energy first, action second, always. Because when you align yourself with that energy, new opportunities and pathways open up from that new energy that you wouldn't have seen before because you were on a different frequency, right? And so when you are following that new identity pathway and you're taking new action and new opportunities, you'll know when it feels aligned, because again, it's like the tattoo piercing thing, or like you're traveling somewhere that you really want to go, but you're scared to get on a plane, and you're like, but your mind knows that you're going to be grateful that you did it after it's done, right? It's pushing over that initial fear, and fear really is false evidence appearing real, right? It's just your mind making things up, your body making things up in this case, because your body is unfamiliar with what's happening. It's a new frequency. Your body, it takes time to catch up on that cellular level, because it literally is changing on that cellular level, because you're giving it a different input than you were before, right? It's basically like you're giving your body a new file that it has to load up to. It's essentially a software update. It takes a minute. And when you get those weird feelings, they're not resistance. It's your body recalibrating. That's so important. Like, it is not resistance. Again, you'll know when it's aligned action because you were the new identity. You decided the new identity, action followed, you're taking the action. When your body gets all tense and feels weird, it's not resistance. It's, again, just your body feeling the old frequency and wanting to stay comfortable. It's crazy because it's like you have your ego and your subconscious mind to deal with, but you also have your body to deal with. Like, no one talks about this. Like, this is actually a real thing. When you decide a new identity and you take new action, again, it's literally like getting a tattoo and you're scared to get this tattoo and your body feels it and you're shaking and you're scared or nervous, or like skydiving, right? Skydiving is another really good example. I've never actually been, I really want to, but right before you go skydiving, what I can imagine it like is like, oh my gosh, like this is terrifying. But it's actually, I think it's one of the safest things you can do. And your body's like, no, we don't like this. But you know, once you finally take that leap of faith, everything is going to feel aligned and you're going to feel more comfortable. Once that parachute opens up, you're going to be like, this is the coolest, most amazing experience ever. That's exactly what this is. It's just your body needing that extra moment to catch up to that new identity. And here's the juicy topic that I want to get into. If you stayed this far, this is the gold of this entire video, because the purge you do not have to suffer through the purge. That in itself is a limiting belief. And here's the craziest part. The purge isn't even required. You don't even have to go through it at all. I just am talking about this, and the whole experience that I shared is what I went through and what a lot of people go through. But if you stayed this far, you now know you don't have to go through the purge. It's optional. Because I feel like a lot of us, when we call it the purge, we make it sound like something way worse than it actually is, when in reality, the only thing that makes it worse is when we resist the identity, when we push it away, or when we resist the action that's happening, when we resist the energy, when we make it way worse than it needs to be, and we hold on to that bad energy and create a new identity around that bad energy. Or even if you're just like overthinking the whole transition and you're thinking all these negative thoughts and you're letting all these negative thoughts overcome. And granted, that like will happen. It's just your ego trying to keep you comfortable. But like when your body feels uncomfortable, it can really double down on the ego and like make you feel even more uncomfortable. And when you're just overthinking the entire process and you're resisting the entire process and you're shutting it all out, and it's like if you're about to go skydiving and you decide to let your fear take over and you decide not to take that leap of faith, or even if you do, but the entire time you're scared the entire time and you're not really letting the emotion flow through you, you're just holding on to it and you're letting it become a part of your new identity. That is what is making it hard. That's what's making it hard. When you can choose the purge as feeling safe and recognizing that this is just evidence of you changing, when you can reframe it and change the meaning of it, that changes the whole identity of the purge. And I know I started this video out by talking about how the purge is like horrible and like it doesn't feel good and, so forth. But I really do want to talk about how when I went through the purge at first, it didn't necessarily, like, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I know so many people cling on to that scary feeling and it becomes a part of their identity. It's almost like when you see the purge as signs of evidence that everything is working in your favor or that things are shifting. It's like that space where the 3D is changing, because essentially when you change the meaning of it, everything changes, and it changes the way it lands in your nervous system, right? So when you're seeing the purge as a bad thing, or if you're seeing the purge as something that has to be hard or that has to be full of resistance or that is going to be uncomfortable, then it's going to be uncomfortable. And for me, after the fact, when I went through that huge identity purge, when I was in it, it felt uncomfortable, but looking back at it now, and it does kind of feel uncomfortable because you're putting yourself in situations that you've never been before, because to be someone you've never been before, to do things you've never been before, you have to be someone you've never been before, or to experience things you've never done before, you have to be someone you've never been before, right? And so when you let the experience pass through you and you see it as something as, oh, this is just life shifting, this is just the 3D reality catching up behind the scenes, everything changes because the meaning has changed. And I wish I would have known this when I was in the middle of that identity purge, because I was kind of freaking out and I was not used to an identity flip that intense. And I feel like that could have definitely made the process a lot easier, just noticing it as, oh, this is literally just evidence of my reality catching up. It's safe to feel this way. It's safe to be this way. And I feel like now I still have little flare-ups that come up. Like, I mean, literally this last weekend, I woke up the other day feeling like really uncomfortable and kind of weird, and in that weird liminal space, because I'm still, now that I have my new job, I'm still bridging the gap between that identity. I'm assuming the new identity of me being a full-time content creator, because ultimately that's my dream, right? That's my biggest dream in life. And it always has been. And I'm really taking big steps to make that happen, or really aligning with that energy intensely to have big steps follow for me to take to let that happen. Energy first, action second. It's so real. And it's like I'm noticing that I'll have these little flare-ups where I notice the energy kind of feels stagnant, and kind of almost like when I see the new identity happening more and more, or I see more evidence of that coming to fruition faster and faster, it's like it gives you this like dopamine rush, like, oh, it gives you that dopamine rush of things are happening, like this is so amazing, but also it kind of creates this feeling of like, oh my gosh, am I safe to be seen? Things like that, like those doubtful thoughts kind of come up, but then I have to remind myself, like, no, this is just how it is now. This is who we are now. And every time you come back to that baseline of your new identity, and remember to remind your body that it's okay to feel safe in this new life and this new identity. It's okay to feel safe being seen, or whatever it is, like it's okay to feel safe with this new identity just in general. When you take those steps, grounding really helps, taking deep breaths really helps, being in the present moment really helps, and just pretending to be the version of you who already has it all, pretending to be that new identity is really the key here. Again, and I talk about this in a few other videos, where pretending is what helps reality catch up faster. And it really is, because it's rehearsal of that new life that's about to come into reality after the purge, right? And it's not even just pretending, it's the embodiment of that energy. Because when you can embody that energy, when you can pretend that that's already who you are, which are both very similar to the same thing, it helps put you on that fast track to it happening so much faster. So quick overview of this video. TLDR, the purge is essentially that space between when you decide your new identity and the 3D reality finally catching up. It's like things are finally starting to change in your new identity, and your body feels uncomfortable with it because it is completely new, and your body, your nervous system gets comfortable with your identity and your reality too. So when you're completely changing things around, it's gonna throw you off. It's gonna make you feel a little uncomfortable, but it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to feel uncomfortable. I mean, it will feel a little uncomfortable, but it doesn't have to feel bad. It doesn't have to feel scary. I mean, and it can feel scary, that's totally fine. But the meaning that you give it changes everything. When you can see it as something that this is evidence of your reality shifting in your favor, when you can see it as this is proof that my new identity is coming to fruition, when you can view it in a different way and give it a different meaning and not cling onto it and not have any resistance with it, it makes the process happen so much faster. It helps your nervous system land with the new identity so much easier. It helps your body feel safe in that new identity so much more, especially when you are practicing that new identity on any moment that you can, when you are rehearsing that new identity anytime that you can, when you're pretending to be that new identity, embodying that new identity. Every time you do that, your body feels 1% more comfortable with that new identity, and it is able to hold that new identity a little bit better every time. And that again puts you on the fast track to that new identity. Like, yes, you can feel, or for that 3D reality to catch up to the new identity, and you can feel uncomfortable, you can feel scared. It's totally 100% normal to feel those things. We're human. We are here to experience the broad spectrum of emotions. It's the only thing that makes it different is the meaning that you give it. Like when you're making the purge something way worse than it actually is, or you're seeing it as something bad, or that you have to go through it and experience something bad to get to the new, that's what we don't want, because that's not what it's about. We're looking at it as evidence that things are unfolding in our favor. We're looking at it as, oh my gosh, finally the 3D reality is catching up. It's time for me to hold steady with my new identity now more than ever. And that changes everything. So if you stayed till the end of this video, thank you for being here. It would mean the world to me if you subscribed and joined the family. I'm super excited to seeing you in the next video. Bye.